Hey, Iowa, it is Congressman Zach Nunn. I'm here with Representative Bubba Ray Sorensen and a homeowner by the name of Mr. Bentley. Luke's house is directly behind us. Now, this summer we have heard the tornado sirens blare. Iowans know what to do when bad weather strikes and how to protect their family. And after the weather passes, they're the first ones to step out of the basement and help make sure communities like those right here in Pleasant Hill are able to rebuild. So whether it's Minburn, Greenfield, or any community across the heartland, Iowans stand ready to help their neighbors be successful. At the same time, we want to make sure that Iowans are not having their livelihood destroyed by events like this. And it's one of the reasons that I'm pushing forward with legislation called the Heartland Emergency Assistance Relief from Tax, or the HART Act. Because here in the heart of the heartland, Iowans help take care of each other. Luke's home suffered significant damage during the tornado in April, and he's still working on repairs. His biggest challenge is the confusing paperwork and often duplicative or, in fact, contradictory information coming from federal agencies, including those at FEMA. He has neighbors up and down the street, which you can still see months later, who are working to recover from the damage suffered during this storm. Iowans should not be on the hook that when they get the assistance they deserve, that they're then paying an additional tax to the federal government for any new income just to rebuild their home to the way it was. This spring and summer have been a terrible source of both storms. Mother Nature has taken its toll in many fashions, whether it be tornadoes, high rains, or flooding. Just this weekend, Northwest Iowa experienced record flooding, and our prayers are with those who were affected by this weekend's massive flood and the continued downstream effect from those high rains. And here closer to home, in April and May, just a few short weeks ago, our community was hit by destructive and deadly, devastating tornadoes. We all know that Iowans are resilient, and watching our community come together and rebuild has been inspiring. On May 21st, 2024, a tornado tore through Greenfield, in Bubba's hometown, killing 4 people and destroying at least 200 homes. With winds reaching in excess of 185 miles per hour, this was the strongest and deadliest storm in the country just in this past year. And visiting it personally, we have seen the destruction, not just to what it's done to the homes and businesses, but to that community that works to recover. The National Weather Service Storm Prediction Center reports that this year's preliminary tornado count is 32% above average for this year alone. And unfortunately, it costs to rebuild. These storms take both an emotional price as well as a heavy physical price to rebuild. Here in Iowa, the cost for repairs after tornado damage can start at $5,000 minimum and raise into the hundreds of thousands to complete loss of property. To provide much needed relief for families impacted by these storms, our team and the entire Iowa delegation has stepped forward with important legislation to make sure that families don't receive a secondary impact, that of a tax increase as a result of funds received. The HART Act will exclude any amount received as an individual by compensation for expenses or losses incurred by severe storms, straight-line winds, tornadoes from their taxable income, making sure that Iowans don't find themselves paying an additional tax next year's tax time. We provide some relief for these families by reducing the tax burden and helping their limited funds and recovery go just that little bit further. So today, as we visit Luke's house and the Bentley family, we recognize that while their home here in Pleasant Hill was hit by a tornado, they've already begun the work of recovery. I'm grateful to be working both with Luke and his family and others in this neighborhood, as well as great leaders at the state level, like Representative Sorensen, to help make sure that those families impacted from Greenfield to Pleasant Hill receive the support they need. And with that, I'd like to introduce Mr. Bentley to talk a little bit about the storm as it impacted you just a few weeks ago.
Thank you, Zach. Yeah, we're just in the process of still doing recovery. We're on the schedule to get the roof done, and hopefully soon here we'll get approved to get the siding started as well too. After the siding, I've got a hole in my house, as you can see from the cover right there, but that hole was caused by this 2x6 that flew in. And so it was a pretty crazy thing, but I asked my father-in-law if he had an engraver, and I figured out how can I glorify God through this whole process. And I carved Isaiah 54:17, "No weapon formed against you shall prosper."
So, I mean, the length of that coming through, not just your house, but you and your family were sheltered below. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And how about your dogs? They doing all right?
They're doing okay. Yep.
This is just the first step in the recovery, but I think you're absolutely right. You recognize it in the right way.
Absolutely. So with that, we'll continue on with the rest of the process that we need to do to get recovery, and then go from there. But I hope this passes, and this is definitely something that every Iowan should benefit from and can benefit from.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Yep.
I'd also like to call up a good friend, Ray Sorensen. Representative Sorensen has been fighting this right on the front line. He was there at the recovery of Greenfield, and you've been helping your entire community recover. Talk to us about what this means to the folks across Iowa.
I can't thank Congressman Nunn enough. Forward-thinking things like this HEART Act help immensely. You know, Iowans are great at the things like cleaning up the debris, you know, finding hope and things like this. We're brilliant at that. But then when it comes to making sure insurance is there, making sure FEMA's working right, making sure the Red Cross is there helping, making sure all these government entities and private partnerships are working, that's where it starts to get a lot tougher. You think the tornado is the tough part, but really, you know, we just had a town meeting last night, and it was great that the consumer advocate for insurance was there, because that is where we're really having a hang up. And so helping with this HEART Act, I think, is a very smart move. I commend Congressman Nunn for bringing this forward, and just thank you for putting on this presser and letting everybody know. So thank you.
Thank you. I want to thank everybody who's been helping with the recovery. This is a first step in it. As we move forward, we also want to make sure that folks who are in need are able to reach out to both their state officials and their federal officials. So we'll include that information going forward. At this point, I want to thank Luke and the Bentley family, your recovery, the inspiration you've been for your neighborhood, and we'll take any questions on point. Luke, I'm going to call you back up here. I got anything for you.
Did you propose this